Hey, today's theme is unnecessarily complicated. It's essentially 3 movies featuring at least 2 actors that I have previously this year seen at least 3 times. Now, the first 2 movies were pretty easy, but the last one was very difficult because I didn't want to repeat actors, and then on top of that I also didn't want to watch a 3-hour movie and I didn't want to spend any money. So the 3-hour thing cut out a bunch of Japanese movies that would have been really easy, and then the not spending money thing primarily cut out Gone in 60 Seconds, because even though renting it would have only cost $4.21, Gone in 60 Seconds is not worth $4.21. Anyway, the names of 3 movies that I did watch were Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, The Muppet Movie, and The Jerk. First up is Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. This is a 2002/2003 movie directed by George Clooney and starring Sam Rockwell, who I kind of forget is one of my all-time favorite actors. He just works for my brain. The basic premise is it is based off a book which is maybe inspired by a true story, and it's about this actual person who developed a bunch of game shows, including the dating game, back in the 60s and 70s, and that was his day job. But then his other job is he may or may not have been a secret operative for the CIA and gone around and assassinated 33 individuals. Ooh. But yeah, no, this movie is great. Like, from the opening shot of Sam Rockwell's bare ass through the entire thing, I had a smile on my face. I loved every second of this movie. Sam Rockwell just carries this movie, and like, it's just overflowing with style. Like, there are some incredible, insanely impressive shots in this movie, and like, just the look of it, it's so gorgeous, and just like, technically all the things they did was cool, and just like, the story was really interesting and fascinating, and it has so many cameos, but like, they don't feel forced or anything, they just feel like natural fun cameos. And yeah, just like everything about this movie works. I crazy loved it. My opinion of the movie did sour a little bit afterwards, kind of like as I thought about it and let it sink in a little bit of like, this movie is kind of just complete bullshit. Like, the story's bullshit. There's no way this guy actually killed anyone or did anything really shady. But it's like, of course it's bullshit. Like, it's super obvious it's bullshit. But that being bullshit doesn't take anything away from the experience of this movie. It's a really fun, well-told movie. I loved it a lot and would definitely, without a doubt, recommend it. Definitely give it a watch. Next up is The Muppet Movie from 1979. This movie is really interesting because I've discovered something about myself while watching this movie. The movie itself is fine. The basic premise is it's a fictionalized start to how the Muppet Show was created. So basically, Kermit is this frog who plays a banjo in a swamp, and an agent comes across him and is like, hey, you should come to Hollywood and you'll be big and rich and famous. Eventually, after his convention, he's like, okay, yeah, I'll go do it. And then the entire movie is just a road trip movie about him meeting all of the other Muppets on his way to Hollywood to become rich and famous. And it's filled with lots of cameos and stuff. And it's also a musical. And it's fine. It's good. It's entertaining. It's cute. The music really isn't my taste. And there's a lot of references that I did not get, but it was still fun and enjoyable. Now, what I learned about myself while watching this film was from one of those cameos. It's from this scene.
What is that?
Maybe we should give him a ride.
I don't know. He's pretty big.
Oh, no thanks. I'm on my way to New York City to try to break into public television.
Good luck.
I've seen this movie before back when I was a kid, and I've seen this scene more recently, probably within the last 10 years. But yet, when Big Bird walked on screen, my brain reverted back to like 4-year-old Charlie, and I internally yelled to myself, it's Big Bird! And just like, I got so excited and legit started to cry. They weren't like pouring down my face, but like, it was there. I was crying. I was super emotional. It was just is Big Bird. He's Big Bird. Oh my God, guys, do you remember Big Bird? Like, I'm not making a joke. I apparently have a deep emotional connection to Big Bird, and I don't know where it comes from. It's like a bunch of repressed emotions or something. I don't know. It's just like suddenly Big Bird was back in my life, just giving me a nice warm hug, telling me that everything's gonna work out great. Like, everything's fine in my life, but he's just, you know, being reassuring, just like being super comforting because it's Big Bird. Of course it's Big Bird. Big Bird's gonna tell you exactly what you need to hear because it's Big Bird. Oh my God, why am I so emotional? Again, this isn't a joke. Apparently I love Big Bird. Whew. I had to pause it because I was just like in a place. I would kind of equate it to like, you haven't seen your childhood best friend, you haven't seen in like 20, 30 years. And then like one day you're just like, you know, doing regular life stuff like in the grocery store or whatever. And then suddenly they're just there in front of you. And immediately everything clicks for both of you and you just go in for a hug. And it's like the best, most amazing hug ever. That's what it was like seeing Big Bird. It was great. So yeah, fun fact. But back to this movie. Would I recommend it? It's fine. I mean, if you have nostalgia for it, sure, yeah, go for it. Don't go into it with high expectations. I would kind of more so recommend the Jason Segel Muppet movie, The Muppets from 2011. That one's great. I love that one a lot. And it's, you know, filmed with more modern styling, so it's easier to get into. I haven't watched it in forever, but I'm sure it still holds up. It's Jason Segel and Amy Adams. But yeah, Big Bird's pretty cool. And lastly is The Jerk. This is a 1979 Steve Martin film directed by Carl Reiner. And the basic premise is not what the title says. Steve Martin doesn't play a jerk. He plays an idiot. This movie should have been called The Idiot. But essentially, it starts off with Steve Martin as a homeless man talking about how he used to be rich, but now he's poor. And it's just him living his life. And it's fine. I definitely had like a lot of the really good jokes spoiled for me, like the defective can joke or like the opening scene joke. I won't say what it was because it's really great. It really catches you off guard if you don't know it's coming. And then this movie does a really interesting thing where it will make these like non sequitur jokes, but then it'll just like keep going with them. So like a good one that I don't mind spoiling is like there's this scene where these two characters are singing and it's really cute. One of them is playing guitar and it's nice. And then out of nowhere, the other person pulls out a trumpet and it's like, haha, that's funny. Where did that come from? This is so silly. But then like the trumpet just becomes like a recurring thing. They just like have established now that this person plays trumpet, so they will randomly play trumpet from time to time. And it's fun and interesting. I did still enjoy it. There were definitely a lot of jokes that I laughed at and I was amused the entire time. I was more a bit confused by like the story because I kind of like with the premise, you know, expected him to get rich fairly early on, like maybe being in the second act, maybe the halfway point. It's really not until like the third act that he finally gets rich. And then like the way that he gets rich, well, I did figure, but not at the beginning. Like I figured because like there's this whole thing where he starts dancing, he finally learns like rhythm by listening to white people music, and that's really funny. And I figured that was gonna come into the plot more, that like, oh, he'd like, now that he knows white people stuff works for him, he's gonna like, you know, do dancing stuff because he wants to get rich, or like do musical stuff because it's Steve Martin or something, but it like that stuff doesn't matter. It's just a thing. I don't know. I did like it. It was fun. It was cute. I would recommend it. It's not my favorite of Steve Martin films. I think it's probably still Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but this is good. It's fine. It's hard to go wrong with Steve Martin. Just don't go into it with high expectations and you'll probably have a nice pleasant time. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up is Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Now, had I ranked this right after I watched it, I probably would have put it like in the top 10, probably like number 7, but I kind of cooled on the movie in the days leading up to this review, though I do still like it a lot. It's definitely high in the really liked category. It is at number 27 in the really liked category. And then after that is The Muppet Movie, sitting at number 109 in the liked category, right at the top of the liked category. And then bringing up the rear, not too far behind, is The Jerk, sitting at number 133, also in the liked category. And this is out of a total of 189 old movies so far this year.